welcome back. We are going to continue from where we left the other time. The other time we finished with the sales invoice. Now today we are moving on to the purchase invoice. And when we talk of the purchase invoice, it's the opposite of the sales invoice. Okay, so maybe for instance, the sales involve our customers, goods ordered by our customers. Okay, when it comes to purchases, it involve our suppliers and goods that our suppliers sold to us. So when we are creating the sales invoice, we pick our various field names from these tables: the customer table, the order line table, and the product table. Okay, if you remember, we pick when we are creating the sales invoice, we pick all the field names from these three tables. Take note: customer table, order table is the same as sales table, sales order, and we have order line table, okay, which is the same as sales order line, and the last one is what? Product. So when it comes to purchase invoice, we are going to pick our field names from the product table, the purchase order line, then the supplier table. So it means for the product table is constant. Okay, it appears on both the sales and the odds and the purchase. Okay, so when it comes to that, now after identifying the table that you are going to pick, the next thing is how to design it. The field name, how you are going to arrange them. If you remember, on the sales invoice, we first label, like we design it in a word. Then after that, we did the same thing for the pages. We created, or we selected all the field name as we picked them. So as I explain it, the first, normally when you buy or you purchase an item from a supermarket, the first thing that you say is the invoice number, and also you see the invoice number, the date, the company name, the item you bought, the item name, the quantity, and the price or the unit cost. And when the difference between sales and purchase invoice is that for sales, you determine the price of the item, by the purchase is the supplier who is going to determine the price of the item. So without wasting time, we are going to open our Microsoft Word and design everything for now. So this is how it's going to be. The first item is invoice, or let me make it this way: purchase order ID. Okay, this will be the first item. Then the next one will be purchase date, and the next one will be our suppliers. And when you talk of the suppliers, so the purchase order ID, we are going to get it from the purchase order table. Okay, so this time around I'm going to put the table in front so that you'll be able to know it. So assuming, okay, don't worry, I'll give you the notes about that. So this will be the supplier details. Okay, then the next one will be, after the supplier details, you will see something like this, like a table. We are going to see something like this. Okay, and the first one will be maybe the product ID, and the next one will be the product name or description. Okay, let's mean after the product name, then the quantity sold, quantity purchase. Then the next one will be unit cost, unit cost. Okay, then our next is going to be purchase, when P line total. Okay, so these are the items we will need. Okay, these are the items that we are going to select. Then after everything, you are going to have something like this. You have at the end maybe amount due. Okay, because when it comes to sales, the VAT and everything has been already been charged. Okay, so then the amount will be there. Yes. So when it comes to purchases, we are not going to calculate for the VAT and for the subtotal. Okay, but we are only going to calculate for the amount due, and the amount due is the amount you are supposed to pay to the suppliers. Okay, and now after identifying all the field name that you need for your purchase form, the next thing is where can you get them from. So when you talk of the purchase order ID, we are going to get it from the purchase order line, the first item. And when you talk of purchase date too, we are going to get it from the purchase order line. And when it comes to the supplier details, the first thing is anytime you are creating an object must have only one primary key, and this purchase order ID is the primary key. So it means you can't select any primary key, any field name which is a primary key. And besides, to have the supplier details, you are going to have supplier ID being the primary key of the supplier table. Okay, here this is the primary key. But in case if you remember, when you open your purchase order, you have a supplier ID also over there. So as for that one, you are not going to pick the one which is the primary key, but rather you pick the one which is the foreign key from the purchase order table. So it means from the purchase order table, you are going to select everything over there. Then after selecting the supplier ID from the purchase order table, then you select the rest of the field name from the supplier table. So after selecting this field names, after selecting the SSID, which is the supplier ID from the purchase order table, the rest of the field name, which are the SS name, address, telephone, then telephone and city, the rest of them you add them to the you are going to add them to the ID. Okay, then the next thing is the product ID. When you talk of the product ID, we have so many product ID. When you open your opening balance, opening stock, we have product ID over here. When you open your order line total, you have your product ID here. And when you also open your purchase order line, you also have your product ID here. So it means you have to select it from the purchase order ID, because we are dealing with purchases. So you have to select it from the purchases table, and you also have it on the product table. The one which is on the product table is what? The product is the primary key. So it means you can't select it to be part of it, because already you have selected the purchase order to be the primary key, and it is the primary key of purchase order table. So now So it means the product ID, you are going to select it from the purchase order line. Purchase order line. The next is product name or description. And the product name or description, you are going to select it from the product table. Then we have quantity. The quantity, you also have so many quantity over here. We have one at the opening stock, we have one at the order line, then you also have one at the purchase order line. Because you are dealing with purchase, okay, so anything you must select from for the form must be from the purchase table. So it means this quantity over here, we are going to select it from the purchase order line. Okay, then the last one, the unit cost. If you remember, when we are dealing with the sales, we selected our price from the product table. But as for the unit cost, because it's the supplier who is going to determine the cost of that, so we are not going to select it from the product table. Okay, so we are going to select it from the purchase order line. Then when you are about to enter the value or the amount there, you type what is on the invoice. And the last one is purchase order line. And the purchase order line, you select it from the purchase order line table. So the unit cost, you are going to get it from the purchase order line table. Okay, so after selecting all the field name, then you come and calculate for the amount due. So this will be the sample of it. So when you are selecting the field name, make sure you are done with everything before you click on this, like the one we did for the sales. So we are going to do the same thing. Okay, because this is purchases, it involves only the supplier table, purchase order line, and purchase order, then the product table. These are the 4 tables that we are going to use when you are creating the purchase invoice. So now we are going to create our purchase invoice using Microsoft Access. Okay, so to create a new form, and it's a form, so you click on the create tab, then you select your form wizard. This form wizard is going to allow you to select any field name that you want to appear on the form. So from what we discussed right now, we are going to select our first item from the purchase order, and then that is the purchase ID. So you select it and you click on next. You click on this arrow. If you click on the double one, it will send everything, the available field names to the selected field name. So because we want them to appear because we want to select one at a time. Okay, because we want to select one at a time. Then the next one was date, so purchase order date. Then the last one was the supplier details, and I told you to select the supplier ID from the purchase order. Then you select the rest of the field names from the supplier table. So you select it, it means we have selected all the available fields from the purchase order to the selected fields. Now you select, the next thing is select your supplier table, because you are going to add the rest of the field name. So you add everything except the supplier ID, the SSID, which is already here. Then we move on to the product ID. So the product ID, we are going to select it from the purchase order line. So you select your product ID from the purchase order line. Then the next one is the product name or description. The product description, you select your product table, then you select it. Then the next one is quantity. So you select it from the purchase order line. Okay, then you select it. And the next one was unit cost. You select that one too. Then the last one is what? Purchase line total. So you select it. After selecting all the field name that you want to appear on the form, you click on next. When you click on next, because the purchase order has a relationship with the supplier table, because of the supplier ID, the system has grouped them into one group, and the same thing applies to the product table and the purchase order line. Okay, then how do you want to view your data? By purchase order. It means by how you selected everything. Okay, then now after selecting all the field names, you click on next. When you click on next, what layout would you like for your sub form? The sub form is talking about where you are going to enter your transactions. So about entering your transactions, you have to select the tabular because the tabular will contain a lot of transactions. Maybe you can sell milk, needle, sugar, a lot, chocolate, everything. You can select more than one item and sell them to one customer at a time. So you select the tabular, then you click on next. Then what title do you want for your form? Purchase invoice. Okay, so it's purchase invoice. So the sub form there, you are not going to do anything. Do you want to open the form or modify the form? Open the form to view or enter information, or modify the form. You are going to maintain the first button, then you click on finish. Yeah, so this is how it's going to be. Okay, this is how it's going to be. When you are able to create this simple form, you will be able to get about 10 marks. Okay, so the next thing is you are going to edit it small. Okay, we are going to make some changes. As you can see, the supplier name is too wide, the address, telephone, and the city too is too wide. Okay, and this one too is too wide, so we are going to edit it. And the next thing is, maybe we can have so many suppliers in our list, we don't want to type in the IDs, but we want to select. Maybe when you click on it, you are going to see all the suppliers, then you select the one you want. Okay, the one you want. Then you select the one you want. So now, after creating your form, your purchase invoice, then you turn to the design view. Okay, when you turn to the design view, because you want to reduce the size, I've already taught you how to select multiples of items from the design view. So you click on the first one, you hold the control key on your keyboard, then you click on the next one. You right click on any of the selections. Okay, then you reduce the size to shortest, then you also reduce the size to narrowest. Okay, because we want it to be the same as this one. Then after reducing the size, you click to deselect everything. Okay, now I select from here to this place. I'm just reducing it, but in your own case you can decide to do it or not. Okay, so this is how it will be. Then from here I select everything. I select the purchase order line, then I press my delete key because I don't need it. Then I select everything. I right click on any of the selection, then align left, close all the spaces, then I also align top. Okay, so this is how it will be. Now after the arrangement, I will just, because I told you, you have to, maybe you may have so many suppliers within the organization, you can't identify or you can't keep all their product ID or all their ID into your head. We are just going to create a list to display all their IDs, then we select, and the rest of the details will follow. Okay, so you select the supplier ID and you press your delete key. Okay, then you come to the design. Under the controls, you select the combo box. Okay, like the one you did for the sales invoice. So when you see your combo box is hidden, you click on the more. When you click on it, it will open for you. This is the combo box. When you put your mouse cursor on it, it will display the name for you. So you select it, then you come and place it to where you deleted the supplier ID. Okay, then I want the combo box to get the values from another table or query, or the second option is I will type in the values that I will know, because we can get the supplier IDs from the different table. You maintain the first option and you click on this, Then the last one is the supplier. You select the table. What table or query should provide the value that should provide the values for your combo box is from the supplier table. So you select the supplier table and you click on next. Then you select the ID and the first and the name. Okay, you click on next. As for the sorting, I've already explained it. We don't need to sort it. Okay, so now hide the key column. You have to uncheck it because we want to see the ID. Okay, you want to see all the ID. So you select, you uncheck it to see the ID. So you are going to see the two, and always the combo box pick the first column. So you click on next. Then you click on next again. You store that value in this field by the SSID deleted. So you click on next. Now you save it. You rename the combo box to supplier ID. Okay, then you click on finish. Now I'll just do some small thing. I'll align right click again and align left. Okay, so now I'm done with it. Okay, then when I'm done with the form, I just want to set the form into pop-up view. Okay, so I'll just click here. If you click here, it means you have selected the entire form. Then I'll click on my property sheet and come to the other table, other tab. Okay, then I'll change the pop-up to yes. Okay, yes. Then the next thing is I'll add some button, the print button, the add new record, and then the close button. So I'll come to the design again, then I'll select my button. Okay, I'll click on it and come and place it to where I want it to appear. Then when it comes to the command button wizard, we have so many we have different categories and actions. Then record navigation, record operations, forms operation, etc. So the first thing is we are adding the print record, close forms, and then add new record. So maybe for instance, when you pick the first category, which is, and when you pick each category, you have actions under it. So the navigation, the record navigation, these are the actions you can find, and you can't identify any, you can't find add new or print record over here. So you move on to record operations and you have add new record. So you select it and you click on next. When you click on next, we have text and you have picture. The picture is going to display the sample of it for you to view it. Okay, so you can also decide to select what a text. When you select text, this is the sample. This is how you are going to see it on the screen. So let's maintain the text. Then you click on next, then finish. Okay, so this is how it will be. Then we are going to add another one. So you click on the button again, you come and place it. Okay, and this time around print record. So we have our print record over here. So you select it from the record operations, then you click on next. Then let's maintain the printer picture, it's nice. Then next, then finish. The next one is close form. Okay, so you select it and you come and place it. So close form is from the form operations, then you select what, your close form. Okay, like for instance this picture over here, if you design the system for someone, the person will not know the function of it, but when you select this one, the stop, he or she might know it is what, close. So you click on next, then finish. Now after everything, you can decide to arrange them how you want it. Okay, so align top, then align left. Then the next thing is size, to narrowest and to tallest. So we align left. So this is how you are going to see it. Then after everything, you save changes and turn to the form view. Okay, so this is how it will be for the purchase invoice. Okay, to get access, just click on this, then you can select any customer, any supplier, then the rest of the items will hide. Now we are done with the main form, everything. By for the sub form, you can also make some changes. That is where we are going to calculate for our line total, then also the amount due, or the amount you are supposed to create to the supplier. Okay, then you close the purchase invoice, you open your purchase order line. Okay, order lines are formed. When you open it, that one too, you can see the boxes, everything is too wide. You turn to the design, whatever you do here is going to affect on the how do you call it, on the purchase invoice. So you select product description, move the label and the text box, and also as the quantity you do the same thing. Right click, then reduce the size to narrowest, then also reduce the size to shortest. Okay, then after everything, you are going to include, we shall include the unit cost and the purchase line total, and that one to the narrowest. Then we align everything to the left to close the space. After that, after closing the space, you close the rest because we don't need them. Okay, so this is how it will be. Then after everything, arranging and reducing the size, the next thing is we are going to calculate for the purchase line total. And to calculate for the purchase line total, the top here is the label and the down here is the detail side. So you select your purchase line total from the detail side, then you click on your property sheet.
Sorry. What's the name?
Are you phone now? Me, so now we are going to calculate for our purchase order line. So you select your purchase order line total from the detail side. You click on the property sheet, then you click on the data tab. Okay, so the control source, you come and click on the three dot, which is the expression builder. Okay, to score the expression builder, so you click on it. Okay, and to get our total, it's like this. It's going to be, maybe you sold an item, maybe a needle, maybe the product ID is 1, and you sold needle, the quantity is 5. You purchase, then the unit cost is maybe 6. So the purchase line is 6 by 4 and it's 24. Okay, so to input that formula, when you come to the expression category side, you select your quantity, you multiply your unit costs. So we have quantity label and the quantity. When you are calculating or using the formula, we use the quantity, the single one. To double click, then you bring your multiplication sign. Okay, you can also start typing unit cost. Okay, double click on it, then you click on OK. Okay, so it means when you turn to the form view or the sale purchase invoice, you are going to get it over there. Now we are going to now calculate for the amount due, and the amount due is always done at the end of the transaction. So you open your form footer like the one we did for the sales invoice. When you open it, you go and select your text box, which is the AB, and the label is AA. Okay, so you select your text box and you come and place it over here. Then you rename the text to maybe amount due. Okay, then you select the unbound. Now you are going to calculate for the total. And to calculate for the total, it's going to be like this. Maybe you sold another product to someone. So here will be, maybe you sold a sugar, you purchased a sugar. Then the next one will be maybe the quantity you purchase. Then the unit cost is 8 cedi, so 8 by 5 will give us 40 money. So getting the line total for the items sold or items purchased. The next thing is, we have the first one to be 24, and which is needle, which is 24, then sugar is 40, then the amount due is going to be 64. Okay, so we are going to set the system in such a way that anytime we are done with the transaction, the system is going to calculate the total for us. So this is how it's going to be. So you come back to our access, then you select the unbound, you click on the property sheet. When you click on the property sheet, you come to the other tab and rename it, the name to be, the extent to be maybe amount due. Okay, then the next thing is you click on the data tab. Then under the data tab, you have the control source. You click on the expression builder, which is the three dots. You click on it, then you input your formula, and to calculate for the total is going to be the sum of the quantity times the unit cost. So you bring sum, sum, then open bracket, you can double click on the quantity over here, then you bring your multiplication sign, then the unit cost, it will multiply the unit cost, then you close the bracket, open, you hold your shift key, then 0, okay, to close the bracket. Okay, then you click on OK. You come to the format tab, you change the format to currency, then the decimal places you can make it 2. Okay, 2. Then after everything, you close it a little bit. So you save changes and you close the purchase order line subform, you close it and you open your purchase invoice. Okay, now this is how it's going to be. Some of the items are hidden, so you turn to the design view. Because we have set the purchase invoice to pop up, you have to right click on the top and you select your design view. Okay, when you select, you turn to the design view, you click on the subform, you put your mouse cursor on the dot, then you click and drag it a little bit to expand it. Okay, now when you expand it, you save changes. Let's see, you have to save changes, then you close the space that you don't want. Okay, so you save changes again. Now you turn to the purchase invoice. So this is how our purchase invoice is going to be. So let's make some transaction. Maybe we purchase from KB Company Limited. So the product ID, then the quantity we purchased was maybe 50, and the price is maybe 10 cedis. Okay, you press your tab key. Okay, so the system will calculate it for you automatically. So the next, okay, the quantity is 100, then the price is maybe 50 cedis. Okay, so this is how it's going to be. If you want to make another transaction to a new customer, you click on add new, then you select everything. So this is how the purchase invoice is also going to be. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to learn how to um, create our stock summary reports. That is going to be our next video. Okay, the next video is we are going to learn how to create our stock summary. Okay, so thank you so much for watching today's video. So let's test and see. You print new. Suppose this computer is connected to the printer. Okay, it will appear. Now we close the form, then we close our Microsoft Access. Okay,